Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. You're listening to episode 72. My name is Patrick, I'm joined by... You know what, that's interesting. I was expecting Steve to just randomly cut in there with round 2 of Fast Builders Lunch, but just Saif this week. Say hi.
Hi everyone.
Isn't it nice and calm and quiet and non-chaotic? That was a question to you, sir.
Oh, it sounded like you were just like...
Monologuing?
Absorbing it. Yeah, absorbing the moment.
Well, my heart rate and blood alcohol level are the lowest they've ever been.
And there's a lack of Steven.
Yep. You know what they say.
Curious.
When Steve's away, the episode goes smoothly. Steve's away this week. He's off on a boat, I think, which is interesting. Hopefully he stays away.
It's not a lounge.
It's true. It might be a lounge on a boat, though. Hopefully he stays away from the underwater levels, as we keep telling Josh to do. And the fact that he still hasn't come back with the cigarettes and milk means it's working or he's dead.
At this point, I think it's the latter.
Yeah, probably is. People listening might be thinking, Patrick and Saif, you've already tier listed all the pink shiny Pokemon sprites. What are you going to do this week? Well,
we're going to go green.
Okay, I was going to say we're going to do the pink sprites again, but that works too, Saif. No, we're going to change things up because that's what we do here on Fast Travel Lounge. We're always innovating. We're always on the cutting edge of audio content, which is why we did a bloody tier list, which sounds great in audio. And I noticed, particularly after the last episode, that I touched on a core gaming memory of mine. And I also noticed that I've been a bit negative towards games over the past couple of weeks. So I thought, why don't we just have a bit of an unscripted fireside chat? Just old Pat and Saif, in and out, 20-minute adventure, just to keep the Rick and Morty references from last week alive.
I need an adult.
An adult that isn't Justin Roiland. But I figure why don't we just talk through some core memories, and we'll just see where the conversation takes us, because I don't know, it's kind of fun reminiscing about why don't we even just pick up from where I left off last week. So to start us off, I touched on Armored Core 4 last week, which was in light of Armored Core, what are we up to, 7? I've already forgotten. Which is one coming out? 6. That was close. 6 coming out, where we dropped the trailer. We saw the trailer last week, and so it reminded me that I remember going to Video Easy in Wellington, in little old New Zealand, the old video rental place.
Oh, it was Video Easy even. Yeah, when I started doing rentals, it was through Video Easy at first as well.
Do you guys have Civic Video at all?
We used to.
Oh, yeah,
not anymore.
Well, we used to have Civic Video and used to have Video Easy as well, but
we also used to have Blockbuster.
Yeah, okay. I can't think of where, at least around that time, there was a Blockbuster. There might have been Blockbusters in New Zealand, but not where I was growing up in the places that I went to for rentals.
We had one Blockbuster close to us that lived on for a significantly long time. I think it only closed down maybe 5 years ago.
Wow, that must be that. That's almost like a living relic.
It would have been a little before that, but it survived until at least 2011. Okay,
so what you've done there is you said 5 years ago, which is 2018, and then said it was at least 2011. That's a 7-year gap.
That, I'm going to be honest, that 7-year gap kind of blows together for me.
Yeah, that's fair. But no, so at Video Easy, that was always my go-to place. I rented Armored Core 4. We had the old 3 tiers of rental duration. We had the $5 for a week, $5 for 3 days, and $8 for the weekend, or $8 for 2 days. Sorry, it was $8 for 2 days, but those would be the ones that I'd get on the weekend because I don't have time to play a game for 2 days when I have school on. Armored Core was a $5 for 3 days rental, and so I went and played that, quite enjoyed myself. I remember there was something that I wanted that they didn't have stock of, because of course, you had to be mindful of that back in the day, making sure that the players had enough discs of the game you wanted to play. But yeah, played that for a bit, and I sort of count that as one of the core memories, because that's really the only link I have with Armored Core 6, but boy, am I excited to play that game. What's something that you rented from your Video Easy or Blockbuster or Civic Video, Saif?
Oh, there were a few of them, but the ones that I remember most is Mortal Kombat Deception. which was my introduction to the Mortal Kombat series.
Hang on, how? I see Mortal Kombat and I think R18. How old was little Seffi when he
They were
convinced someone
MA
to
at the time, and I was right on 15.
Don't you hate how inflation hits video game ratings?
Yeah, it had to happen eventually.
Interesting. So, what made you want to go and rent Mortal Kombat?
My oldest stepbrother was with us at the time, and he was talking about how great the Mortal Kombat games were around that time. And so we just saw Deception at a video store and decided, yeah, you know what? We're going to rent this out, see how it goes. And yeah, really, really enjoyed that game. Maybe because it was a PS2 game, that was my first one. But I kind of have a soft spot for a lot of the characters that people in the Mortal Kombat fan base absolutely despise.
Such as who?
There's this character named Cobra who's basically just generic white guy in a karate gi.
Cobra Kai, the one that took out the Karate Kid?
I'm pretty sure it's just straight up a reference to Cobra Kai, yeah. But his fatality just straight up being ripping someone's heart out. I think it might have been one of the more brutal fatalities in Deception as well. And yeah, just off those beats alone, I kind of really like that character, even though everyone hates him. I also like the Dragon King Onaga. I just really like evil dragons.
Sure.
I mean, dragons in general, but yeah,
fair.
But yeah, he was like the first big Mortal Kombat villain I've got experience with, and he's kind of nothing thinking about, like, he kind of just exists as big strong guy and kind of being a bullshit boss fight.
Was Mortal Kombat anything that you played at the arcade? Because Mortal Kombat is sort of one of those, I feel like it was an arcade game first and then became popular on console.
It was, but no, the PS2 games didn't have arcade versions, and arcades passed me by. Like, I've only played Street Fighter at like bowling center arcades, not like dedicated arcade places that have people showing up to play fighting games together. I've never been on the fighting game arcade culture.
Do you ever have? We had one. It was kind of like a chain arcade. It was Time Out in New Zealand, and
ours is called Time Zone.
Interesting, because since moving to Auckland, there is a Time Zone arcade, but this was definitely Time Out when I was growing up. And there was one main one. It was in the middle of town. It was part of the same complex that did laser tag, and so you'd go and play a few rounds of laser tag, and then on either side of it, you'd just drop $5 or $10 and play a bunch of arcade games. Which reminds me of perhaps my favorite arcade game. Did you ever play Rampage World Tour?
I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar.
So this one's funny because this one, I've only ever known it as an arcade game, but it came across. This is going to sound. There's more context than is probably necessary here, but I know Rampage World Tour as the arcade game from after I played a game of laser tag with my friends back when I was a kid. And somehow, in between that and PS3, it became a game that you could just buy on the PlayStation Store. And so, played it a bunch on PS3.
There's a PS4 version.
Interesting. That means I can probably re-get it on PS5. If it looks like it has cartoony graphics, as far as I know, there's only been one game. There might be others, I don't know. But it was always Rampage World Tour. That was always the one. And so what was funny was that was also...
Oh, you know what? I might have played this on PS1.
I'm shocked it was available on PS1.
This looks like a game... Yeah, it was on PlayStation 1, and it looks really familiar to me. I think this might have been something I had on a pirated disc on PS1.
Interesting. The other part of the context is that you might hear it in relation to one of the generic Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movies that came out about 3 years ago, also called Rampage, which was based on that universe.
Huh.
Yeah, that was.
He's in a lot of video game movies. Like he did the Doom one.
Yep. It was a weird moment of reckoning for me, seeing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a movie set in the universe of Rampage.
Yeah, that is a weird one.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised it's on PS1. That's cool. I actually that serves as a good segue. I never had a PS1.
Really?
Yeah, I started with, and this is going to be really funny actually. I went straight to PS2, and that was because in the year. When did it come out in Australia? 2001?
The PS2?
2001? Yeah, PS2.
I think that was 2002.
Ooh, okay, maybe it was 2002. Either way, so the reason I say 2001 is because my dad went to a conference in Sydney, and somehow, I don't know if it was he wound up just at a random electronics store, or there was some sort of conference on, or he was, like convention, like consumer tech convention, because those, remember back when those were super popular?
Oh, okay, just a correction. It came out in 2000 over here, so it could have been 2001 it happened for you.
Aha. But you see, this is the thing. So, Dad went to Australia for a conference and came back with a PS2. So, I had an Australian PS2, and it was one of the really, really early releases. It was an OG fat model. And
I fucking love those OG fat models. They're so good.
This is important that we played the shit out of that console. So much so that by the time I bought... No, two things happened with that PS2, actually. Yeah. One, I learned that there is a difference between PAL and NTSC.
Yep.
When I went to Canada...
I learned that difference during the PS3 era.
See,
Actually, no. I learned it earlier because... sorry, side tangent.
Yeah.
After
There's
I got
gonna be a
really...
lot of those this episode, I think.
Yeah, after I got really into the Sonic series, I wanted to play Sonic Adventure.
Oh, that's a bad start. That's such a bad start. Oh, man, here I am thinking, because this is going to go into my love of the Sly trilogy, and then you're like, tangent. I'm like, oh, this is going to be your love of the Sly trilogy. Sonic. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so Sonic Adventure 1 was available on PC, and I had my own laptop at the time, so I was like, I'll buy a copy off eBay. It'll work, no problem. My laptop's pretty new, it should handle it. And that's when I learned about the difference between region-specific CDs, and I bought a European copy that didn't work on my laptop.
Yeah, similar story. Because I am half Canadian, when I was over in Canada, circa 2008-ish, even with the exchange rate, Sly 3 from EB Games in Canada was cheaper than Sly 3 here. And so I even remember Mum asking, are you sure this will work in New Zealand? And me thinking, a PS2 is a PS2. Why would there, how could there possibly be a difference in PS2s? They're all like PlayStation 2. No, it'll be fine, Mum. Let's buy the game. Super excited because I can't play it until I'm back in New Zealand, which wasn't for another week or two at that point. So every day thinking about finally being able to play Sly 3, get back to New Zealand, load up the disc and think, why isn't it working? Oh, the sadness was palpable. And the funniest part was
it's the PS2, so you get that awful, really disturbing screen that says this disc doesn't work.
Yep.
Like the stuff of nightmares.
And then the other part. So actually two other stories with that. One, we played the shit out of it so much that the laser stopped behaving properly. Where even New Zealand games, even new New Zealand discs, wouldn't always load on the PS2. And so it became the case of, if we got it to boot, we'd just leave it on for a couple of days, particularly with rentals. We'd leave it on the whole time just because it was always a 50-50 shot if you turned the PlayStation off, whether or not it would read again. And the third one, so assuming that I got a PlayStation in, let's say 2000, maybe that is too early. Let's say 2001. It was definitely at least 2001, because the game that Dad brought back was Formula 1 2001. That was the only game we had on, that was the only proper game we had on PS2 for a while. And so I didn't have a memory card or a way to save any progress on PS2 until, and I remember specifically, 2006.
Oh, Jesus, that's so long.
I've played PS2 for 5 years where it was just like an arcade. So one of my favorite games on PS2 was SSX, Snowboarding Supercross, the first one, the OG. You had access to, it was set in Tokyo was the first map, I'm pretty sure. And then the second one was always Elysium Alps, the one set in Europe. And then if you won an Elysium Alps, you unlocked Mercury City Meltdown. And that was cool, because you were snowboarding through an abandoned city in the middle of winter, and there were a whole bunch of different paths you could take and everything. It was amazing. But the thing was, you never had that unlocked to begin with. And so me, over like a weekend or so, would just leave the PS2 on and straight through Mercury City Meltdown. I think there's like one or two in the middle, and then Tokyo City Megaplex, and then Aloha Ice Jam. Yeah, all of the old sort of arcadey snowboarding levels. And as soon as I had to turn the PlayStation off, it was like, oh, all the progress is gone. Time to start again.
Yeah, I was in a semi-similar situation. We had PS1s at my house and PS1s at my grandparents' house where my uncles and aunt lived, because just a bit of TMI stuff. Mum had me at a young age, and her brothers and sisters were still teenagers when I was a kid. Yeah, a bit of an overlap there.
I can't believe that your aunts and uncles were as good, if not better, than you at video games.
Oh, at the time they were better. Yeah, so they had a memory card at my grandparents' place, but we didn't have a memory card at my place. So at my house, playing Crash Bandicoot 3 was always up, got to turn the PlayStation off, start back from the beginning of the game all over again. But at their place, you could actually make progress in Crash Bandicoot because they had a memory card, so I could save it there. So over the years, I've gotten really good at like the first 3 worlds of Crash Bandicoot to the point where I feel like I can do them with my eyes closed.
See, that's me with Elysium Alps in SSX 1, and also, what was the other main game that I played that I didn't have a memory card? Ridge Racer 5. I actually don't remember how I got Ridge Racer 5, because it sounds really weird to say, I didn't like the game. It was a racing game. It was a racing game that I played and did well at, but it was always there as, like, I don't know what it was. It was a game that like I played because it was there, but it wasn't a game, like if I had the choice, I would play something else. But I always did the first championship of Ridge Racer 5. And I know that because once you get through the first championship, which for all intents and purposes is basically an elongated tutorial. Oh, that's why I didn't like it. Because I knew it was the tutorial and it would take about 3 hours to get through, where if you don't have a memory card to save, that's a grindy 3 hours of the same stuff over and over again. And yeah, this is like weird core memory. So my brain works kind of weirdly in that I'll just latch on to particular moments and things. Ridge Racer 5, and I am willing to stake money on this. When you beat the first, whatever the first milestone is, if it's not the tutorial, it's been a while since I've played it. It's almost like a Mario Kart Cup, but the first achievement within Ridge Racer 5. When you then load into the second one, it gives you a tip saying that you can draft cars by driving behind them to kind of slipstream them. And this is how young I was playing this. I assumed that was what I had unlocked, and that I couldn't draft cars when I was doing the first levels.
Oh, no.
But it always gave me such sick joy seeing that loading screen tip going, now I can finally slipstream cars. Oh, man.
So I think Ridge Racer might have been the second arcade-style racer I played. The first being the Crash Racing games. But
you mean CTR?
Yes, CTR. Actually, no. I take that back because the first would have been Burnout 3.
Oh, okay. Let's get into this.
Sorry, hold on. Let me just quickly finish this because I've only played Ridge Racer once, and that was at a PS3 demo kiosk, and
yeah. I know that one.
Yeah, holy shit! It's a weird game to get into your first time playing. Like the drifting works really differently than what you'd expect.
Yep.
Yeah, no, the first one might have actually been like realistic arcadey style was Burnout 3, and holy shit, I loved that game. That was such I put so much time into that game. It was incredible.
So my Burnout 3, so I got into most franchises that I know and would happily drop money to pre-order, and I'm saying that knowing that it's Criterion, and Ridge Racer Unbound was a bit of a mixed bag, but peak Criterion with Burnout, happily drop money for Burnout 6. Please release Burnout 6. So I got into quite a few franchises by playing one of the games, and funnily enough, it was never the first game in the franchise. But I got into it by playing one of the games at, more often than not, either my parents' friends or just my extended family's house. I don't remember who it was for Burnout 3, but I remember it was doing a sports or superclass race in one of the European tracks with the snow and the trams and things, and I was hooked. All I played of it was that one circuit race, and I didn't even know about road rages or crash junctions or anything else, but just how much fun that race was and crashing into other races and how awesome the damage looked when you'd destroyed things. That I immediately, that was the next thing that I bought.
After Touching was also really fun. Like if you wipe out, exactly. But then you get to control your crash and go into someone else, that added an extra element to it. And
it was an achievement to get a triple after touch takedown, or not it was an achievement, but
it was a personal achievement.
No. It was an in-game achievement.
I don't remember Burnout 3 having in-game achievements.
I'm certain that they did, because there were some cars that you could only get if you did certain in-game achievements. Like the fire truck in Crash Junctions was won by getting $11 million, I think, in Crash.
Specific cars.
Yeah, and so getting all of the signature takedowns across Burnout 3, which was taking someone down in a particular spot, like pile driver, by driving them into an L train block, or over the edge by dropping them into smashing them over the cliff into Silver Lake, all those sorts of things. See, this is what I mean. Weird memory, right? Why would I need to know this? I haven't played Burnout 3 in 15 years. Yeah, getting that game, being able to boot it myself and listening to the F-Ups, Lazy Generation as the title song, I was in. That was fantastic. So was that your first one or second one? Which, between that and CTR? Because CTR would have been before Burnout 3, I'm sure of it.
CTR would have been before that. Actually, now that I think about it might have been third, because actual second one would have been Hot Pursuit 2 on GameCube. Because I played my GameCube a ton, and then when we got to PS2, we just dropped the GameCube entirely. So yeah, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 was another one I really loved. Another arcadey style.
Please tell me that was the one that has a Lamborghini Murcielago, a yellow Lamborghini Murcielago on the front.
I wouldn't remember the cover art. It might have.
Because Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 was a game that I played a crap ton of on PC. And I got it from... Do you guys ever do Scholastic Book Club?
We did, yes.
So there was always a software section.
I don't think we had a software section on ours.
I think this has come up before. If not on one of the episodes, we've just talked about this briefly when we've all been chilling in Discord one evening. But I, back in primary school, used to get Scholastic Book Club. I guess for those that don't know Scholastic Book Club, it's like a little... I actually don't know what the point of it was. I think the idea was it was supposed to encourage kids to read, but it was a little booklet where you would write down what you wanted and then put some money in an envelope and send it away, and then it would come back and you'd have what you wanted. It was like mail order but for kids.
Yeah, it started off as being books, and then over the years they expanded to here's a little toy thing. We had to rip off Beyblades in ours at one point.
Oh, nice. But I know for certain that I got Motocross Madness 2 through Scholastic Book Club, as well as Toka 2. What does Toka stand for? It was basically a Gran Turismo ripoff. It was supposed to be like a driving simulator-y type racing game, which it barely worked on our old Windows 98. Yeah, I think this was 98 era. It might have been XP. Either way, not the greatest of games. Motocross Madness 2 was epic though. That was really fun, but Hot Pursuit 2 I'm pretty sure was in the same boat. So for a while, really interested in books, go and mail order some books, but then once I found out about the software, it was like, all right, I'm a gamer, let's go gaming. And Hot Pursuit 2, that was fantastic. What did you enjoy about it? What do you remember? What are your core memories from Hot Pursuit 2?
Honestly, I don't remember a whole lot besides just general enjoyment of that game, but there's one track that's going down a mountainside with trees all over the place, and I just remember having this really good run where it got to the point where they're trying to use tire spikes on me. They're calling in helicopters, and I know just the thrill of trying to escape the cops in that game was really fun, and that's all I remember about that game.
And that's fair, because I actually don't remember a huge amount either, other than how much fun I had playing it. I think I remember a track near the airport that I had a lot of fun with. But the other core memory for Hot Pursuit 2, that was the first game that I modded.
Oh, geez, yeah. God, I don't even know what the first game I would have modded was. I didn't get into like PC gaming and modding until like way later, though. Actually, I think the first one I might have done was Left 4 Dead 2. I modded the music in that.
Oh yeah, my one in Hot Pursuit 2. I don't remember the order of operations, and this is killing me not being able to remember.
Hold on, Patrick, I just remembered.
Yeah.
First game I modded was Sonic Adventure 1 on PC.
I'm learning so much about you, and it's all against my will.
Because after the CD incident of that not working, I learned how to pirate games. And then I learned how to do texture modding in that game.
Real talk, I would not be shocked if that's how a lot of people got started with game piracy, of just, what do you mean I can't play this game that in most cases you've actually paid money for too?
Yeah, exactly.
But my mod, it was a real simple mod. It was Hot Pursuit 2. They had a whole bunch of like color customizations for various cars, but there was one, it was a beautiful midnight blue color. I think it was for the Carrera GT. I think. Or no, it was probably the other way around. I really enjoyed driving the Carrera GT, but Carrera GT typically only comes in monotone, sort of grey, black, and white. I don't remember which colors they were specifically in Hot Pursuit 2, but it was only available in one color. I think it was probably grey or silver, because that's usually what it is. But there was another car that had a beautiful midnight blue color as like a one-off. I don't remember what car it was, but I went into the game files and figured out that that color was controlled by a file. And so I copied and overrode that same file in the Carrera GT and was over the moon when I booted the game. And there was my beloved Carrera GT in this amazing looking midnight blue. And it was like, this is the high of modding games to me. It was a really cool moment. That was definitely one of the core memories for me. What did you mod in Sonic? You said the soundtrack?
No, Left 4 Dead 2, I modded the soundtrack.
Oh, sorry, the soundtrack for Left 4 Dead 2. What did you modify in Sonic?
I just modified the character textures. I went into Microsoft Paints and painted over their textures.
Behold, Shadow, the squiggle.
Basically, yeah.
Do you ever have an iPod Touch or an iPhone?
I had fake iPods, like fake iPod Nanos. They're basically just small MP3 players from Aldi.
Nice. The only reason I asked that is because that same energy is the people that would jailbreak their iPod Touches and iPhones so that they could get custom skins.
Honestly, if I did have an iPhone at the time, I probably would have done that. I think... No, I didn't do that for my PSP, but I know people that did.
Oh, I definitely did that for my PSP. I remember asking too. So I was a fucking naive kid. I was just thick as, still am actually. I'm still just thick as hell a lot of the time. Just an absolute dumbass at times. In EB Games, so I talked to my friends about buying a PSP because I really wanted a PSP. Good old PSP 1000, still an excellent console.
I had a 2000.
Have fun worrying about snapping it in half.
I had a screen tear down the middle after about 2 years of use, but Sony was really good about replacing it.
Oh, that's good. Meanwhile, the PSP 1000s were like the Nokia, the Nokias of game consoles.
What? I mean, they were bricks.
They felt really sturdy though. It wasn't that they felt too bricky. They just felt sturdy. It was really good. But I think I still have my PSP 1000. I don't know where the charger is, but I think it's the one that my brother has somewhere in his room.
I found a PSP
nowadays.
Charger after we moved recently, but
that's probably mine. Give it.
But I don't have my PSP anymore. I had to get rid of that years ago.
But here's me being fucking thick as pig shit. I talked to my friends about buying a PSP, and they were like, "Oh, you should hack it." I was like, "Okay, what's the point of hacking it? You get free games. Okay, I'm interested."
All you have to say is free games, and then
yeah, exactly. And so me, like, the next question was, what do I need to hack it? How do I hack my PSP? And they said you need a magic memory stick and a Pandora's battery. And so here's me, thick as pig shit, walking into EB Games, dropping money on a PSP 1000, going, do you guys sell Pandora's batteries? And the guy just turned and looked, and he knew exactly what's up, and he's like, those are illegal. Don't buy those. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, so modding is illegal. What's my friend
Definitely
doing?
not going to buy a Pandora's battery. Yeah, exactly. And so me thinking, oh man, I nearly got reported to the police. It was like trying to buy drugs. And so naturally I went to school the next day, and my friend modded my PSP for me because he had a magic memory stick and Pandora's battery. And then this was the beauty of the hacker scene for PSPs. You could get it was a file share app that would work over the ad hoc network, where you needed to use a computer to turn your memory stick into a magic memory stick, which basically just means I'm pretty sure it just means turning it into a bootloader, or maybe that was the battery. Basically, you needed a computer to turn your PSP into something that could hack other people's PSPs, but then once you hacked a PSP, which took about 20 or 30 minutes because I started doing it for people.
Funnily enough, that's also about the amount of time it takes to hack a 3DS, which I'm not advocating, but I hear it's very easy to do.
I'm just saying. I've been staring at my 3DS, wondering more and more whether it's time.
I've done it. It's time. The store is down as well. It's time to do it.
The only thing, because I still play online with friends in Monster Hunter and things, the only thing I'm concerned about is the network connectivity. Locally, fine, but
I think it's
network,
fine to do, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah. But just to finish on the PSP thing, you install the ad hoc file sharing thing, and then this was me year 9 or 10, so 2009, 2010. That gives away my age, but anyway, it's just because I was one of the lucky generation where my year in school was the same as the year. Like year 1, 2001. Great, makes it so much easier to remember.
Oh, no way, I was the same.
Yeah, excellent. But sitting in the hallway in year 9 and year 10, and a bunch of people with hacked PSPs, and we go, what game are we going to play? And someone would have, I don't know, Twisted Metal, for example, and so he would file share that to the rest of us, and then we would all just be able to play Twisted Metal. No extra download required or anything, because there was all the PSPs also had that stupid region locking on the UMD, so there was like the USA version, the EU version, and the Japan version. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's just naturally just inbuilt into every disc. But yeah, it took until like the PS3 for region locking to stop being a thing. Like region locking was on the console itself.
Yeah. And that was also how I got into Monster Hunter. Just to finish, to tie that one up with a bow.
Yeah, no, that sounds that sounds incredibly convenient in that in like the file sharing thing. But I also remember that the PSP, some games just had this thing where it's like, oh yeah, no, you can just do a file share sort of thing. Like someone will connect to your PSP via ad hoc, and you'll just have like a limited multiplayer mode together. Like I think Tekken had that. Fucking Sonic Rivals had that. It always comes back to Sonic. Every core memory I'm going to have is going to somehow come back to Sonic. But yeah, no, it was really neat that the PSP had like this inbuilt thing of like, yeah, no, this is a portable system and not everyone's gonna have the same game. So here's like a limited download to each other, and have like try to convince your friend to buy this game by doing this small multiplayer thing.
The Monster Hunter thing was funny. It was a Monster Hunter Freedom Unite ROM. I don't know what you'd call it when it's a downloaded PSP game. But I downloaded that, and then because it was modded, because the console was modded, I was able to install. I don't remember what the software was, but it was kind of like Cheat Engine for PSP, and so you'd open it up, and then you'd be able to do stuff like seeing the monster's health bar in Monster Hunter. That made fights way more interesting, as well as not being able to die or infinite money or any other number of ones. And what was funny was I did that. I specifically made a new save, modded the heck out of it, made it all the way to the end game just because I was invincible and had infinite money and could buy any piece of armor I wanted. Killed an Ukan loss, which is the kind of final boss of Freedom Unite. And what was interesting was I did that, and it might have been in a conversation with someone or something, but talking about how it was kind of like, it was like a reality check on grinding. It was like you have everything just because you do, resource wise, in the game, but is it actually that fun for you? Because you've done all of this, but you haven't really earned all of this, because half of the fun of playing Monster Hunter is the struggle. And I don't know why, but it just kind of hit me. It was just like, you know what, they're right. And so luckily I had the force. It was mostly because I was terrified of breaking my existing save that I did it on a second save, but I still had my existing save. And so I played that one. I continued to play that one properly. And it was cool in that I knew what I needed to do to get what I wanted to next, but I didn't cheat after that, at least in Monster Hunter. Definitely cheated in other games. What was I going to say? Oh, your limited multiplayer thing. I think the DS did that better than the PSP, I'll be honest.
I don't have experience with the DS, so you'll have to explain.
So the DS one, even on the box would say download play available. And so what it was a lot of games in the, I'm going to say the DS Lite era, maybe not quite OG DS, but close to it, had a particular multiplayer mode. Usually they had two. Usually they had two multiplayer modes. They had multiplayer modes where the other person had the game card as well, and they had multiplayer modes where the other player didn't have the game card. And so as an example, Mario Kart 7 had download play. So even if only one person out of a group of about 8 of us had Mario Kart, we could all play because we all had DSs. And what was great about that was that, one, that was my introduction to Mario Kart, other than the odd GameCube. This sounds dumb. It was on GameCube, right?
Double Dash was on GameCube, yeah.
Okay. I played a Mario Kart. This was when I was super young. Do not remember. Was absolutely terrible at it as well. Also, my introduction to Super Smash Bros. Also GameCube. Putting that out there. But yeah, so it was my first proper introduction to Mario Kart when I finally understood what was going on, when I had object permanence. and so you could do the first cup or the first 2 cups. I think it might have been the first cup in download play. And so everyone that didn't have the game was a Shy Guy in a standard Shy Guy cart. And everyone that did have the game that was in the same lobby could pick their cart, because that was the whole way Mario
Making
Kart
the
worked.
people that don't own the game a Shy Guy is actually really funny and cute.
See, I loved it though. And the thing was, the color of your Shy Guy was determined based on the order that you joined. And so I don't remember what order it was, but I always tried to be not the first person to join, but somewhere in the middle there, because it was blue Shy Guy. And that's still who I play as in Mario Kart 8. My favorite kart setup is blue Shy Guy on City Tripper with tiny wheels and Bowser Flower.
And just to stab everyone, the entire reason we're doing this topic of conversation for this podcast is because I went into the chat today and said, hey guys, Mario Kart 8 is going to turn 10 years old this month.
Feel old yet?
They really should do Mario Kart 9 soon, but they still got half the DLC to go through.
What I like is that Rockstar has GTA 5 and Bethesda has Skyrim and Nintendo has Mario Kart 8.
And only one of those is good. There, I said it.
Not wrong. Yeah, anyway, so that was how download play worked. It was just, it did exactly what it said on the tin. Didn't matter if you had the game or not. And then if you did have the game, because obviously, as much fun as you're having as Shy Guy on Figure 8 and Mario Kart 7, the game only became more fun when you had the game yourself, which I do somewhere where I'm recording this right now, within 10 meters of me in a particular direction will be a Mario Kart game. I don't know where, but it is somewhere nearby.
Mine's very easy. It's on my Switch right in front of me.
Mario Kart 7.
Oh, no. You just said a Mario Kart game, so I just went with the closest one.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't think I ever did the shared multiplayer thing for PSP, but that's also because it was hacked.
It works kind of the same, but it was also in that limited capacity. The one I remember was doing it for Tekken Dark Resurrection, which one of my favorite games of all time.
That was a game I definitely illegally pirated.
I put so much time into the Tekken 5 games across both PS2 and PSP.
Favorite character or characters?
I'm going to be completely honest. I can't with Tekken. I love the entire cast so much, especially the Tekken 5 cast. I put so much time into Tekken 5 that I cannot pick a favorite in that game.
That's fair. I have a few, like, I really enjoyed playing as these characters, but I don't think I could pick a favorite either. Was Bob Tekken 5?
It was 6.
Interesting.
Tekken 6 did come to PSP as well.
Oh, okay. Good, because I was thinking, like, I swear I played that on PSP. Yeah, sweet. I think my main one in Tekken 5 was Jack 5, and that was because he did the kind of really fast in and out, like, pump motion with his robot hands, which I just really liked. And when I played multiplayer, it was hard to deal with. Yeah, it was one of those. He felt good enough to use, like me picking up any heavy in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and just I don't have to be good with the character. I just have to be better than you.
You just get one good hit in with them, and it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Or the old, again, I don't remember if this one was 5 or 6, but finding the Yoshimitsu suicide stab.
Yes, that's in all of the games.
Oh, good. And then just seeing which of us dies first.
On Tekken 5 on PS2 specifically, I did I went through and did the arcade modes with every character across both games. But on PS2 specifically, I remember like really, really getting into Hwoarang's into all of his kicks, like just smoothly going from one kick to the next with him, and like getting really, really good with him.
Nice. I recognize the name, but I can't picture the face.
He was a Korean with orange hair and like a motorcycle outfit, sort of.
Okay, yeah, motorcycle outfit. Yeah, that I can place that.
Also Eddie, just breakdancing with Eddie all over everyone. It's so hard to deal with when you're a new player.
Yeah. And even just landing, like finishing some of the combos and him just being on his back on the ground and me being a new player, not being able to hit him.
Yeah, like you just don't know how to like stomp on him while he's down there.
Yeah. That's cool. I guess is your main fighting game franchise Street Fighter or Tekken?
No, it's Tekken and Guilty Gear kind of, because with the PSP as well, on PS3, I got the BlazBlue games, and that was my introduction to anime fighters, like 2D anime fighters. And I really, really love that game. Like, just things flowed together in anime games that don't flow as naturally in Street Fighter. And then I went back and I played Guilty Gear there, one of their first games on PS1, and it was on the PlayStation Store, so I just had that on PSP wherever I went. So I got really into Guilty Gear as well, and so yeah, it's kind of a mix between Tekken and the Guilty Gear games.
Yeah, fair. I remember a friend of mine, actually several friends of mine, were really good at Street Fighter, and so we'd all be doing, like games like pizza and games night at someone's house. Like sleepover, but no one's sleeping because you're young and you have infinite energy. I don't know how I did that.
I just got hit with a core memory for you. Give me 1 second while I cough off microphone. Pizza night at a friend's place. We decided to play through the entirety of Heavy Rain in one sitting. We started at like 10 o'clock at night, and it started. It started with 5 of us making decisions and just ripping into the game, and by the end of it, it was only 2 of us left, me on the controller and one other friend ripping into the game with me the entire time. And I think we finished around 7 o'clock in the morning, and the 2 guys that conked out first, they woke up just as we were hitting the credits, and they were dumbstruck that we had actually managed to go through the entire game in one sitting.
That's fantastic.
And to answer the question of why, it was because we could. Literally, we just went, hey, who wants to play through all of Heavy Rain in one sitting and just rip into this game because of how stupid it is? And we did it. Fucking teenage energy.
That's a fascinating insight into the psychopathic world of Editor Saif. What was I? Oh, right, yeah. To finish the Street Fighter Tekken thing. So many of my friends really good at Street Fighter. Really good at Street Fighter. We're all at someone's house for pizza and games as usual. And so playing Street Fighter, taking turns, I'm just getting my ass kicked because I can't for the life of me get I probably still can't to this day actually get the Z action down on an analog stick. It just never works as I expect it to. Trying to input Z.
I could teach you at some point if you wanted me to, but it's also one of those things where Z motions does take some time to learn.
Pass. And so me getting absolutely just ass whooped in Street Fighter, and then I remember issuing the challenge. It was like I could kick the ass of any one of you in Tekken, and they, after seeing how terrible I was at that, and also how terrible I was at Smash, thinking I'm just shit at multiplayer games, and ordinarily they'd be right, but kicked every one of their asses.
Tekken is home turf.
Exactly.
No, Tekken has been part of my life forever. Like Tekken 3 on PS1 was something I played a lot with my uncles and aunts. Yeah, no, it's that game for me. Like I'm not great at it, but I know what I'm doing enough in that game to get by and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and those games are the best. Like you know that you know that you could go to some tournament and get your ass kicked, but just being in a generic room of people that you're friends with, knowing that you at least put up a fight, if not beat most of them.
Oh yeah, no, I'd handedly go like 10-0 with friends. I
mean, you know, you could make it a bit closer.
10-0, Patrick.
Where's the fun in a complete shutout?
It's fun for me to completely shut them out. Make sure they know that this is my game. They can have whatever else they want, but Tekken is mine.
Yeah, clearly. Tekken was never mine by that much, but you know, I'm glad that we kind of have an overlap there. Speaking of the old playground stomping grounds, what was your first Pokemon game? And was your school a big Pokemon school?
Gold and Silver, and no, but the thing that got me into wanting to play Pokemon is seeing someone in preschool with a Game Boy playing one of the Pokemon games, and then like, I think it was the next Christmas, I got a Game Boy Advance and Pokemon Gold and Silver. Actually, no, the time gap would have been bigger than that because I would have left preschool before the GBA came out. I actually need to look at the time difference for that.
Well, all I know is that it was at least 5 years ago and it was at least 2011.
I think I would have seen someone playing it at nap time in preschool in like 98 or 99.
Holy shit. Okay.
When did the GBA come out in Australia?
Well, while you look that up, my earliest memory was watching someone on a bus play Pokemon Crystal on their Game Boy Advance. And it always looked funny because it was a Game Boy Color cartridge, I think.
Yeah. It was.
Is that right?
And the Game Boy Advance came out in Australia 2001, so there was like a 2-year time difference between me seeing someone playing Pokemon, then getting into the anime, and then getting the game myself. Because I remember the anime starting up in Australia in 2000.
And it was all downhill from there. Just look at Australia now.
We're not doing great right now. Inflation's hitting hard.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Need to go to the Poké Dollar.
Steve's not here to say, don't believe me, go look up something inflation. And it's nice. So I saw a friend play Crystal and I was like, maybe I was the other way around because I knew what Pokemon was before watching him play Crystal. And so he would say, like, these Pokemon, and I knew what they were. So maybe I saw the anime before the game. I don't quite know the timing. But my first experience with actually playing Pokemon was for my birthday in 2004 or 2005. I think it was 2004. Actually, what year was Ruby and Sapphire?
That might have been 2003. Let me check.
2003, I think, makes sense. But this was definitely after 2003. I think it was 2004, 2005. And so, I was doing the subtly dropping hints, and by subtly dropping hints, I mean subtle, as in, you know, like a sledgehammer to the head is subtle, saying that I really wanted Pokemon for my birthday, which was a double barrel for my parents because they also had to buy me a Game Boy. And so, because my birthday is near Christmas, I did one of the old trades.
It'll count for birthday and Christmas, and then you still get a Christmas present later.
That's the one. Everyone runs that. If you're born between November and February, you run that. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, no, my brothers ran that. We also ran the Oh no, this will just count as a present for all of us.
That's always a good one too.
And just to give a date, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire came out over here in 2003.
Yeah, okay. So this was definitely 2000. I want to say 2004 most likely then, because it was around the time that the Game Boy SP had come out as well. And so I remember being at home after school when it was my birthday, and they'd spoiled that this is what they were going to get for me. They'd made it pretty clear. And so Mum gets a phone call from Dad, who's at EB Games, saying, there are 2 Pokemon games, Sapphire and Ruby. Which one am I supposed to get? And so I'd been like theory crafting which game is the better one with one of my best primary school friends. And he was convinced, and he convinced me that Sapphire was the best game. And so I was like, Pokemon Sapphire. So I got Sapphire, and I was absolutely just out of this world happy with it. Still to this day, really enjoyed it.
So for me, it was probably Christmas 2001. I got a Game Boy Advance, and I got Gold and Silver at the same time. So I started playing both of them at the same time, and I think it was around the time you get to Goldenrod. I'm like, this is the exact same game, but slightly what's going on here? Slightly different. I'm just going to stick with one. And so I stuck with Gold for the rest of the playthrough. I've still got my cartridge of Pokemon Gold behind me as well.
That's cool. See, I'm really sad that I actually don't remember what happened to my Sapphire. Huh. Yeah, I actually have no idea what happened to Sapphire. The reason I say convinced that Sapphire was the best one is that I then took it to school the next day. And I need to preface this. School for me was a 45-minute bus ride away. Every day, 45 minutes on a bus to and from. And so Pokemon was kind of a necessity to just survive.
Yeah, no, that's so understandable.
And so went to school with Pokemon, whipped it out at lunchtime, and my friend goes, "Oh, you idiot, you got Sapphire, Ruby's the best one," and I wanted to throttle him. He was like, no, Ruby's definitely the best game. And so for a day, I was like, did I make a mistake? How do I tell Mum that I should have got the other one? Oh, she's going to be so disappointed. And then I was like, no, I'm going to stick with Sapphire. And then I found out that Kyogre beats Groudon. That was such a like side point. That's such a dumb legendary battle. One of them is ground type, one of them is water type.
Yeah.
It's really not exactly the Clash of the Titans.
I think X and Y also fucked up by having one being fairy and one being dark.
Fairy and one being dark, yeah. And then also the showdown moment where Groudon's on this little bit of land and Kyogre's got the entire ocean, and they're like, yeah, these two are locked in battle. I wonder who will win. And me playing Sapphire is like, you kidding me?
He just needs to raise the water like a millimeter.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and so no idea what happened to Sapphire, and then I bought Emerald. That was 2006-ish, definitely. And that was when I got the Prima Strategy Guide as well, and I still have the Prima Strategy Guide. It's a very entertaining read. Just every so often, just flicking through it, going, because I read that book for hours, and it was again, welcome to number, what are we at, like 17 or 18 of Patrick's dumb as like thick as pig shit moments. They had the entire Hoenn Pokédex in the back of that book, and the way the book did it was they said that a Pokemon was good against Pokemon it was resistant to. Does that make sense? So like, what's an example? Like water resists water, therefore water is good against water. Not super effective, just like effective, like just good against. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I went through the entire Pokédex multiple times. You know what the best Pokemon, according to that book, was? Based on the number of types that Pokemon was good against?
Shit. I'm guessing like Mightyena?
Magneton.
Huh. Yeah, Electric Steel.
Electric Steel. It was just it was suggested that it was good against so many types, and that it was only bad against, I guess, fire and ground.
Unless it had Levitate, then ground won't affect it.
This is crazy. I don't remember if Magneton has Levitate. You might be right. It always blew my mind that the strongest Pokemon wasn't Rayquaza or Deoxys or Jirachi or any of the legendaries. It's fucking Magneton. And so when they announced Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I instantly, instant, as soon as that game was out, I bought Sapphire. And actually, that we can segue back to primary school again if you still have more to talk about. But Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out 2016-ish, I think.
I think it was 2015, maybe.
No, that'd be right. 2015. Yes, absolutely.
It was
right.
like 2 years after X and Y.
Yeah, and so me being at uni during this time, this was after uni had finished. Again, near my birthday, because Pokemon comes out around November, decided that I was going to buy Alpha Sapphire for myself, and that a couple other friends had birthdays at similar times. And so what we ended up doing, I don't want to imply that we would have bought each other $90 gifts, because no way in hell were we going to. But we all decided that as the gifts to each other, we would all buy Pokemon when it came out, and then just binge it for, I think we binged it for 5 days. Not 5 days continuously, but we set aside 5 days to just play Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Those were really fun days. That was just everyone chilling in the same room, bunch of snacks, bunch of drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, just nostalgia-ing our way through Hoenn. That's still my favorite Pokemon game, I think. Alpha Sapphire.
It's not exactly that, but I kind of had like similar vibes with Pokemon X and Y of just being at a friend's place. He was living out on his own at this point, had his own apartment, and I visited him like every couple of weekends, like maybe twice a month. And yeah, so X and Y just came out. We never battled or anything, because we wanted
very passive.
We wanted to start getting into EV training and stuff, but we never actually committed to it. So I never built a team. I don't think he ever built a team. And it was just kind of like sitting in the same room, just playing through the games at the same time, sharing the O powers with each other, helping each other handshakes.
O powers?
O powers was where you had like the you could. I only used it to speed up egg hatching times, but they had other effects like, whenever you beat a trainer battle, you'll get more money out of them or more XP from certain things.
Yes, this is ringing a bell. Yep.
Yeah, and there was also super training, so I'd just sit there and I super trained a bunch of Pokemon up just for the main game, but not actually doing it correctly, because at the time I thought I understood EVs, but I didn't actually.
As soon as I unlocked super training in X and Y, super trained my starter.
I super trained my Bulbasaur. Like the moment I got super training, I pumped that Bulbasaur up really, really well.
See, for me not having any idea how EV training worked, assumed that the stat spread was total. What I mean is that so EV training normally is, I think, 256 across a Pokemon. Could be wrong on that. But you can basically max out 2 stats, and then you have about 8 points left over for something else. However much that comes out to. It's been a while since I've had to EV train anything. But I thought that because they gave the super training to you as like a little graph of like, here's you as a dot in the middle, and then here's the spike for health and attack and defense and special attack, special defense, and speed, all as spikes coming out of the middle. And so I thought a fully super trained Pokemon was when that graph was completely full. And so I just did every bag that I could on my starter just to fill up stats. And then eventually it said this bag is no longer effective because I'd maxed out my EV points, and so my stat spread was atrocious.
Yeah, and I spent so long trying to get reset bags because I did that exact same thing of like, oh yeah, no, I EV trained, and I was like, oh wait, you're meant to just pump into a stat they're good in, and then I was like, well, I need to reset this, and I'd never get a reset bag.
Yeah. I know that feeling. What was the other side of that? Oh yeah, and then also core memory time. I only figured out what IVs and natures and EVs. Realistically, I also only figured out like how Pokemon resistances worked. Way into playing Pokemon. So I guess brief as I'm sure we've discussed this at various points through episodes, but in order of things that I played, Generation 3 in 2004 or 5-ish, half played Pokemon Platinum with my brother, and then Pokemon Y, and then Alpha Sapphire. That was the jump.
You want my jump? It was Gold and Silver when the GBA came out, seeing Gen 3 in about 2004 or 5-ish, and wanting it, but not seeing it at EB Games, so getting Legacy of Goku 2 instead, and then skipping the entire rest of the series until Black and White when I got a 3DS. And then from there, I just kept up with the releases after that.
So we have similar jumps. Because you didn't play Gen 4, I didn't play Gen 5.
I completely skipped Gen 3 and 4.
Fair. Yeah, okay. No, it was slightly more. Anyway, the point being for me that only once I'd finished the main story of Pokemon Y did I figure out what EV training and IV training and natures and things did, which at this point was after I'd already caught a bunch of the story legendaries and not soft reset for good natures and other things.
Yeah, around that same time, I also learned about shiny hunting and really wanted a shiny Ghastly.
Yeah, so similar thing for me. This is why Alpha Sapphire was so good, that the national decks and the kind of Poke Island thing, the whole Street Pass thing, that was such a good system. I love that system of you randomly get different islands throughout the day or throughout days, and so you go and see if there's a Pokemon that you haven't caught on that island yet. And so me doing that with the express intention of getting the Shiny Charm and Egg Charm, or I guess the Shiny Charm because it was the national dex. And yeah, and so I'd never played Gen 5, and Gen 5 had a lot of event-specific legendaries. And so I wasn't sure which of the legendaries I needed for the for the Shiny Charm or not. And so still to this day, I'm kind of mind blown how it all worked out. But I went and fought Curem in, I think it was near Lavender Town. It was in its own little boss den in, not Lavender, Lava Ridge? What's the Gen 3 town up the top?
I think Lava Ridge might have been it.
Because Lavender's like Gen 1, isn't it? Yeah, okay. It definitely wasn't Lavender Town. Anyway, it's in its own little boss den. You have to get to there by flying on the back of Latios or Latias, which, side point, what a good mechanic. Holy shit. Bring that back, please.
I fucking love that mechanic. Like, it's just RPG airships, but it's so fun just to be able to fly over the entire region and go wherever, have aerial battles, have all the secrets like warps to legendary fights.
Yeah, like exactly like that. And being able to just, I'm above this route, I'm going to land on this route. I don't need to fly to a Pokemon Center. It was, yeah, anyway. Bring that back, Nintendo.
That's the weird, like, my weird thing with, like, actually having played Pokemon after X and Y and just going through all of the, well, with Gen 5 and just playing all of them after each other. It's like you start noticing all these things where they're like, oh, hey, this is a really cool thing. I hope they bring it back in next gen. And it's gone.
Gone. Yeah. I know that we've talked about this, but even in, again, Alpha Sapphire, the best game, when there's a Pokemon out of its ball just chilling in like a town somewhere, your Pokedex is like, hey, do you want me to identify this Pokemon for you? Because that's what happens in the anime. It's just the little touches. It's all it is just a little touch. And the whole Dexnav thing was brilliant.
I want to find this Pokemon. So good.
The Pokemon might have these IVs, or might have this egg move, or might have this nature, or this hidden ability. Oh, Oh my god, the greatest system.
Not even
system.
just that, but like just being able to go, oh hey, here's all the Pokemon in this area, and I've seen them all, so I've got a little silver medal. And if I catch them all, then I get a little gold medal, and then I know I'm done with this route. I've got every Pokemon that's in this area, and I can visually see on the deck snap what's in this area.
Yep, 100%, 100%. What was I saying? Oh yeah, and so Kyurem, to bring it back to why I bring this up, I have no idea what the fuck Kyurem is because I never played Gen 5. And so I look up its stats, and so my favorite Pokemon type is Ice, hands down. And so it being an Ice Dragon, I'm like, that's pretty sick. That's pretty cool. I'm not hugely in love with the design of Kyurem because it looks a little asymmetric.
It's a weird looking Pokemon.
It is. Let's be real. It is. And so I'm fighting Kyurem, catching it, checking if it's modest natured, and then reloading the save if it's not. And so just doing that over and over again, and I did that for I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Just no luck with having it modest. And I don't remember if this is when I knew about the Trace Gardevoir trick or not, where if you had something with it was either Synchronize or... Oh, it was probably Synchronize, actually. I know that a Gardevoir could do it, and Gardevoir has Synchronize and Trace. I think it is Synchronize. No, it definitely is, because Umbreon also has Synchronize. Where if you have a Pokemon with Synchronize at the start of your party... at the end of your... as the first Pokemon in your party, there's a higher chance for the wild Pokemon you fight to have the same nature. Random hidden thing for anyone that's interested. And so I was doing that, not getting modest, or I wasn't doing that and I wasn't getting modest because I don't remember when I figured out that trick or when I looked up that trick. And so finally I catch one and it's modest. I'm like, sick. Finally, it's a modest one. Cool. Stick it in the box. Don't think about it. And then I get the DNA splices because Alpha Sapphire just gave you everything.
What a good fucking game. Just like, everything you'd ever want.
Good game. All the mirrors for all the the three weather spirits. I forget the
genies.
3 deities. Genies, that's the one. Yes. Like here's the mirror to convert them from Therian to whatever the other form is. Anyway, I got the DNA splices. I'm like, let's see what Kyurem looks like when it's spliced together with Reshiram and Zekrom, because that was the whole mechanic of Gen 5. So I go and look at it. And so I splice it with Zekrom. And I'm like, why does this look weird? Why does this look different? And then I realize it's a shiny Kyurem.
Oh, shit. That's a get.
So if it hadn't been modest natured, would have just not even thought about it and soft reset. It was because instead of it being light blue, it's a much more like glacial, not dark, but just it's like a different hue of blue, which looks sick in hindsight. But didn't notice the stars. I play most games muted, so I did not hear the sound.
that still gets me, by the way, that you play most games muted.
It was just because I was in peak grind mode of I'm just doing the same thing over and over again.
How do you appreciate proof of a hero when you get a good hunt in Monster Hunter?
Okay, well, there's an exception for Monster Hunter. No, it was more I'll have something on in the background, and so I'll just be paying more attention to that. And so it's not necessarily that I mute games. It's more just Switch. I don't have a nice way of listening to the audio and what I have on the background, so I just play with the Switch muted. But any other game, I just play with quieter volume, so I still hear what's going on. But anyway, did not see the stars, did not hear the shiny sprite sound, had no idea, and just went, why does my merged Kyurem Zekrom look weird? I guess Kyurem Black, right? Is the
Kyurem Black
combo. Like why does it look weird? It's a fucking shiny Kyurem. My favorite type in a legendary with the correct nature, and it's shiny. I'm not that religious, but
you made out like a bandit.
That was a core fucking memory, if ever there was.
I'm looking at the colors and like the sprite sheets, and shiny Kyurem just instantly improves the black Kyurem and white Kyurem designs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so, like, I didn't notice it compared to regular Kyurem because I'm fucking thick as shit. But as soon as I measure it with Kyurem Black, I'm like, something's off. my Kyurem looks diseased. Did you end up getting your shiny Ghastly?
I did not. The first shiny I ended up getting that I grinded for, and I think was actually my first shiny in general, was a shiny Breloom, because Oraz
nice.
and X and Y together, you can just get everything in the national decks. And so I was like, you know what? If I'm going to grind out and just get everything, I want like the Pokemon I'm going to be using the most for this to be special. So he didn't have the right nature, but the fact that he was shiny was enough for me to go, yeah, no, this is going to be my my stun spore false swiper.
Love that. That's sick. My first shiny ever was a shiny Golbat back in Pokemon Sapphire.
Yeah, I want to think that I got one back in Gold and Silver, but I just don't know for sure. So my instant, like,
actually, I also got a shiny Marill back in Sapphire.
Oh, jeez.
Or maybe Emerald.
Marill's a good one. But yeah, just like my instant, like, yeah, no, this is the one I know for sure is the Breloom.
Yeah, that's cool. Once I cracked the code on how Pokemon breeding worked and IVs and natures and everything else, I was going so far as to I was on a Reddit to get a hacked Masuda method Ditto, just to make shiny breeding easier, and so I, with that, bred routes because I really wanted a shiny Gallade.
Yes, Gallade is so good.
Thing is, you can't use every shiny Ralts for a shiny Gallade, can you, Seth?
Wait, you can't?
No. Okay. No, sorry. I wasn't sure if you... Oh, I guess because you skipped Gen 4. So Gallade, you can only evolve from a Curlier if you use a Dawnstone on a male.
Yeah.
And so
your shiny was a female?
The shiny Ralts I got was a female.
Yeah.
And so I ended up giving that to a friend of mine who is absolutely in love with Mega Gardevoir as a design.
Oh yeah, I bet anyone that's a Gardevoir fan loves Mega Gardevoir's design. Just put her into a wedding dress.
And so it turned out to be really cool where we were able to do double battles of shiny Mega Gardevoir, shiny Mega Gallade versus whatever. And they look sick when they're teamed up, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, no, they do.
And I made it my mission to give that Gallade every ribbon that I could. So it's a member of the Kalos Hall of Fame, what was Gen 7's region called? Alolan Hall of Fame, and the Hoenn Hall of Fame, as well as a full master contest for beauty, smart, tough. What are the other ones? Beauty, smart, tough, cool, and
cute, I think.
Cute, yes. Yeah. Man, Pokemon Contest was sick.
Pokemon Contests are a lot of fun.
Oraz was such a good game.
Oraz is such a good game. Black and White 2 is also fantastic.
All they had to do was release Battle Frontier, and instead we got Mario Run.
I mean, they gave you a world map and a Latios to ride on.
It could have been perfect. We stared down the barrel of Utopia, and instead we get Mario Run. I
mean, they gave you Mega Evolutions and worked it into the story.
I will never forgive them for this transgression. You know what was funny? I ended up seeing a video, for some reason, YouTube recommended just flicks me bangers every so often. Some of the bangers that's flicked me recently is, I don't even know if it's the same channel, but a video is, remember when this was a mechanic in Pokemon? And one of them was just flying around a Mega Latias. And there's me thinking, shit, you know what, they're right. That was one of the best mechanics they introduced in Pokemon. And then every comment was, you know what would have made Oraz perfect?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Battle Frontier.
No, they'll never let go. No one will let go, and rightfully so.
I ended up randomly flashing back to primary school for a sec. I ended up reading up online about the clone method in Pokemon Emerald at the Battle Tower in the Battle Frontier.
I remember the cloning method for Gold and Silver. I wanted to do that for the EVs too, so I could get every evolution.
Yeah. And I thought you meant EVs like calcium and protein and all those as
No,
well.
no, I was duplicating Pokemon so I could get all the evolutions.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm saying that the cloning method in Emerald was also cloning Pokemon, but if you had them hold something, clone Master Balls, clone different held items, clone TMs, because TMs weren't infinite.
Yeah, no. Oh, man. TMs not being infinite. How did we go so long without that?
How do we do it? Yeah, exactly. And what's funny, I know that in some ways I didn't, because I kept one of every TM, specifically so that I know that I had them all. Oh man.
Also hate Pokemon. Just hate chemming. Like my Feraligatr in Gold was fucked up because it had all the water HMs you needed for that game, and you needed all of them. You needed Surf, you needed Waterfall, you needed Whirlpool. If it was in Gen 2, it would have been forced to have Dive as well.
Gen 3, I mean?
No, that's what I mean. If Dive was in Gen 2, it would have been forced to have that.
Yeah. I in my infinite Pokemon research figured out that I could give all 8 HMs across Tropius and Tentacool in Gen 3. So that's what I did. Those were my 2 HM slaves.
I didn't know what a HM slave was until way later, and by the time I found out what a HM slave was,
slavery was bad.
By the time I found out what HM slaves were, they were just starting to phase out HMs.
Yeah. What a time.
I think Gen 6 only has one cut tree.
And even then it's probably just a pseudo-weirdo.
Yeah, I think Gen 5 all you really need is Surf. They got really good about the HMs after Gen 4 went overboard.
Yeah. Why don't we swap to something other than Pokemon? I just realized I've been hammering the Pokemon nostalgia.
It's so easy to be nostalgic about Pokemon.
It is. And here I am just thinking, I don't even know how long we've spent talking about that. But
it's been a while. It's been over 30 minutes, I feel.
Always is.
I have a question for you, Patrick. Well, I've got 2, but they're very different story time questions.
If the first one is something behavioral related, I blame it on my upbringing.
I mean, it's just as easy to blame it on Josh, but sure. First one is there a franchise that is near and dear to your heart that you, well, not even specifically you had to ignore it beforehand, but it was introduced to you by someone else, like a close friend or something, and then after they introduced it to you, you became the one that was hyper obsessed with it.
Yes, that's most most PS2 era franchises. That was me. So that was Burnout, but unfortunately, I just never. For some reason, I never did Burnout Revenge. I was really into Burnout 3, then I went straight to Paradise.
I think for Burnout, I've only played Burnout 3.
Well, Burnout Paradise is pretty cheap on most consoles now because of all the remasters they did.
Yeah, but I don't have Girlfriend, so I need to go and track it down on PS3 instead.
Fair enough. No, the main one, so I think I can put Ratchet and Clank in that camp, but I don't remember how I got introduced to it. But I do know exactly how I got introduced to Sly 2. I was at, I think they were related to me. It was one of those, I could probably count on one hand the number of times that, because there were 2 brothers and then me. And again, it was either extended family, because my family on my dad's side is a very big extended family, or just friends of my parents. Can't remember which, but it was the blow up the dam. It was part of the final heist on level 3 in Sly 2, where you're in the helicopter, piloting the turret, having to destroy, or having to protect the helicopter while you blow up the dam. And what was funny was they said, if you think this is fun, these aren't even the best helicopter missions, because the best ones are the RC helicopter missions, and they were right. But I went and picked up Sly 2 as soon as I could after having so much fun just playing those little sequences with them, and then became hyper obsessed with the Sly Cooper franchise, which, as I explained earlier, led to me buying the game in Canada and then being distraught when it would not work in New Zealand.
And then that's when you pirated it.
Sure.
I'm trying to give the story a happy ending.
Double down. Well, theoretically, it was still a happy ending. It just involved me paying twice.
Yeah, that's not as happy as getting it for free.
That's true. That's true. You're right.
For me, it's it's Kingdom Hearts 1, and I went through a phase in my childhood, like maybe when I was between the ages of 6 and 9, where I'm like, no, I'm a big kid now. I'm too old for Sonic. I'm too old for Disney. They're for babies. And so initially I skipped over Kingdom Hearts, seeing like a poster of it at my primary school, where we had like one of those mufti carnival days where we got to like we just got to dress up in casual clothes, and they had like all these different things all over the place where people had activities going on.
Quick question on that. Do you think mufti is a New Zealand, like Australia, New Zealand term? Because I didn't even realize that in Australia you'd also call it mufti.
I feel like it is, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Mufti, at least in the New Zealand context, is just you're at a school that normally requires a uniform, and any day you're not wearing a uniform, you can wear what you want, basically, is a mufti day.
Yeah, and
just in case.
I think every school in Australia, you have a uniform anyway. Like even public schools, you have to wear a uniform.
Wow, because I was in a uniformed public school, but that's because I was in at the time, a nice and like prestigious public school. Apparently, it's gone real downhill now.
Yeah, no, I've been in decent public schools and shitty public schools, and all of them you have to wear uniforms in.
Interesting, because the high school that took up most of the people that got kicked out of my high school was mufti the whole time.
Oh.
But I remember because the first time I was introduced to it was in year 4, because years 1 to 3 I was at a primary school that wasn't in uniform, and then years 4 to 8. Technically 4 to 13, I was in schools that required uniforms, just 2 different schools. And so in year 4, seeing something on a note to bring home to your parents, you can wear mufti to school, and me going, what the fuck is mufti? What, do I have that? Is that something I need to go and buy? As I say, just thick as pig shit at times.
Yeah, no, it happens to the best of us.
But like me legitimately worried about not fitting in, because all I wanted to do was make friends at my new school going, they're going to think I'm an idiot if I'm not wearing a mufti to school.
I mean, I had a near-death experience thanks to the Olympics.
That sounds like a story.
It's a little bit, but not a huge story. Basically, the Olympics...
This is a core memory.
The Olympics were going on in Sydney.
Wait. Does it involve Sonic?
No. Rare core memory that doesn't involve Sonic.
Does it involve the color blue?
I mean, it was at a pool, so yes.
Yeah. How did I know? Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, so the Olympics were on, and like the day before this happened, it was Olympic swimming and Olympic diving. So me being the incredibly smart 4 or 5-year-old at the pools with my aunt, I go up to the deep end, not ever swimming in my life, going, look at me, I'm an Olympic swimmer, and then fucking dive in, and next thing I know, I'm waking up because the lifeguards pulled me out of the pool, and I'm guessing they had to do something because I blacked out for a little bit.
Holy shit. I can't believe Sonic the Hedgehog saved your life.
Thank you, Sonic. Oh, this is why I buy all of his games and sing their praises.
Do you reckon, as he walks away, do you reckon he says everybody gets one?
You know what? I think Sonic is kinder than that. I think everyone gets at least 2.
At least 2. The first one's a mulligan. First one doesn't count.
First one's a freebie.
Yeah, that's...
Everyone after that, you have to give him a ring.
No, that's crazy. My version of that, I learned to swim from a really young age. I don't remember how or why, but I've always been...
Sorry, I just to cap off my swimming life, I didn't learn how to swim until I was in the 7th grade.
Holy shit. Okay. I knew how to swim from, I was proficient at swimming when I was in year 3, so I probably learnt to swim younger than that. Yeah. Anyway, and so we used to frequent public pools and stuff, and so I always prayed. I always prayed myself on how.
I'm pretty sure prided is the right term there.
I know it is. I always prided myself on how long I could hold my breath for, and so.
Even without being able to swim, I used to try and do that all the time, like get into holding your breath underwater contests. You'd think I'd learnt after I almost drowned, but no, I didn't.
Based. But I remember being, I've been tapped by multiple guards going, "Hey, can you not look like you're drowning in the pool, please?" Because the thing was, I was so good at it that I'd just be motionless face down in the water floating along.
Yeah, no, I can see why they'd ask you not to do that. Okay, rounding back up to the whole Mufti Day thing. The first time I became aware of Kingdom Hearts was because
holy shit, that's what we were talking about. Oh my god.
They were going to.
Sorry, I think I just blacked out.
The guy they had the library had a PS2 set up in there, and to advertise it, someone
what the fuck?
Someone
a PS2 in your library?
Like someone brought it in for the events day.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the best way to advertise that is by, of course, drawing a single player game to go come into the library and play multiplayer games on the PS2. But yeah, the first time I became aware of Kingdom Hearts was because someone drew the cover art on the poster, and I was like, "Oh no, that fucking Disney! I'm too old for that. That's for babies." And then like 2 years later, I went to a friend's place and he introduced me to Kingdom Hearts by just having it on his PS2, and I played through the Destiny Islands portion, and I don't know, it just really clicked with me. That was like the first time I think I played like an action combat game, even before like trying out Devil May Cry or other action games. So this is like my first time getting into that style of game, and it just kind of clicked with me. And then I did the really, really shady thing of going, hey, like this is in December. My birthday's in August, but my brother's birthday is in March. So I go, hey, you know, wouldn't it be cool if you got this game for your birthday? And so,
my man.
And so my brother like takes up my advice, and for his birthday asks for Kingdom Hearts 1, and I'm the one that ends up hogging that game because I'm really enjoying it. I really, really dig it. I'm doing everything in that game.
This explains so much.
And he didn't play it anywhere near as much as I did.
I thought you were going to say he didn't play it at all.
I think he got up to like the first world after the tutorial, and he realized he didn't like the game. but at that point it was too late to get rid of it. So I made out like a bandit in that situation. I get really into Kingdom Hearts, and then like I think Kingdom Hearts 2 came out just before my birthday around that time. So I get Kingdom Hearts 2 for my birthday, and oh my god, the jump between games is so vast and how much better Kingdom Hearts 2 controls. I love the tutorial section with Roxas and just trying to uncover the mystery of what the fuck's going on, what happened to Sora between games. Well, who is this Roxas guy? Why is he having memories of Sora? And yeah, no, just Kingdom Hearts became my life for years at that point. Like I remember like waking up early in the morning, warming up pizza, because having leftover pizza for breakfast is like an essential childhood thing.
It's like okay. I agree with that in the same way that having breakfast for breakfast for dinner seems like a massive deal when you're a kid.
Yeah, like having pancakes for dinner is incredible when you're a kid.
Or even cereal.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did that. I think we made bigger deals of like pancakes and French toast. But yeah, I'd wake up early in the morning, play Kingdom Hearts 1. The first time I experienced a PS2 malfunction was with Kingdom Hearts 2, and I think that was either that was a twofold problem. The controller stopped working during the final boss fight, and by the time we got the controller replacement, the memory card fucked up, so I no longer had the final boss fight save. And at some point, I lost Kingdom Hearts 2 after that. So yeah, that was like Kingdom Hearts 2 for so long was one of my white whales where I was right at the end of the game. I could have finished it, but I didn't because of so many things happening back to back.
Three points in response. One, absolutely agree with the 1 to 2 jump. I think of Assassin's Creed in that same sense.
There's quite a few games where like the jump between 1 and 2 is incredible. Uncharted as well.
Yes, yeah, Uncharted as well. So I never played Uncharted 1 though. I went straight to Uncharted 2 and everyone just said stay away from Uncharted 1. I went, fair enough. Still haven't played it.
Uncharted 1 was one of the first games I got on PS3 because at that point, like, I knew Naughty Dog as a name because of loving Crash Bandicoot. And then getting into Jak and Daxter during the PS2 days, at some point in my childhood brain, I clicked, oh, these people made the Crash Bandicoot games. They're doing a new thing on PS3 called Uncharted. I know I like Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter, so I'm going to make sure I get Uncharted.
I wonder what fun cartoon animal I get to play as this time.
I knew they were completely changing it up, and I was really...
Nolan North, huh?
I remember being really appreciative of, like, Naughty Dog games are kind of like growing up alongside me. Like, they're getting more serious as I'm growing up, and like
that's really interesting.
The Last of Us came out when I turned 18, and I think that was a R18 game.
I think it was R16 here. I can be wrong on that, but I was definitely restricted. But I don't remember. Maybe it was R18. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, totally agree. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 1, I played through. Assassin's Creed 2, I was like, hey, if you're not sure what to get me for my birthday this year, Assassin's Creed 2. And so there's a photo where I will never show anyone this photo. I look. It's like every embarrassing childhood photo rolled into one holding Assassin's Creed 2. It's horrific. But Assassin's Creed 2 was fantastic for, again, all the step-ups. Second point, I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game. Just going to let that sit there because I assume that's probably a shock to a few people.
No, I don't think it is as much as you'd think it is. Okay. But also, I'm not sure if I'd say I'd recommend it to you because even after doing this podcast so long together, I'm not 100% sure if it would line up with your taste or not.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And that's mostly come from the angle of maybe you won't because I know your hard stance against anime and JRPGs. So,
well, it's mostly a hard stance against Walt Disney, but
yeah, the mouse has to pay for his crimes as well.
He does.
I mean, I can't say that too loud. He pays my bills.
The Kingdom Hearts thing is always interesting because I had so many of my high school friends were huge Kingdom Hearts fans, and so what's funny was I was at one of their houses for a sleepover. A bunch of us were, I mean. And they had bought themselves a Keyblade, and they were showing it off, like, look how cool this Keyblade is and everything. And all I knew was that a Keyblade was something from Kingdom Hearts. But beyond that, it was just, I don't know, it was just like, that's cool, neat. I guess. Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, I'm excited for you, but I have no idea why.
Yeah, I understand that situation.
Yeah, and then the third point, shoot, there was a third point. What was, was Kingdom Hearts action. I swear there was a third point that I was going to make, but I can't think of what it would have been now. Oh, that's right. No, I got it. It was because you mentioning Kingdom Hearts 2 being a white whale. What is the worst thing that's happened to you? Not gaming wise, but have you had any disasters with particularly hardware that, in the same way as Kingdom Hearts fucked up, has anything else fucked up just monumentally?
No,
because I have one to share. I got two to share actually. I'm
going to guess that one of yours is the Red Ring of Death.
No, so I never owned an Xbox either.
For me, it's multiple PS3 hard drive failures. Like the fat PS3 was doing fine, The PS3 itself was fine, but I think the hard drive inside of it was starting to fail. And so every couple of, like, before we switched it out, every couple of months we'd have to format it because it would refuse to load up a game or save a game. And
oh my god!
And so we'd have to go in, do a full system format on the hard drive. I lost my save for Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 on that, and I was one trophy away from the platinum. So that was another white whale for a long time.
Actually, I know that I just sang Assassin's Creed 2's praises. I collected every Patricio feather and didn't get the platinum trophy. Fuck you, Ubisoft. Sorry, continue.
I collected every feather and I did get the platinum trophy.
I don't want to hear it, Seth. I don't want to hear it.
PlayStation Home shutting down was like a stake to the heart.
Okay.
Sorry, that was just throwing it out there. No, I think the PS3 having to have its hard drive formatted every few months was, until we replaced it, was probably the worst. And then I think it was like 6 months after I got my own PS3, the fat one ended up getting the yellow light of death on my brother's.
Yeah, so those are the two that hit me. So I got Y-lotted, one of the whatever percent of systems that had that issue. So that hit me. I lost everything because this was before the invention of cloud saves. So that sucked. And it was sort of a reckoning point of me thinking, maybe this is a sign that I should stop gaming. And so for a while, it probably took me like a couple months before, like, I played games sort of casually or whatever, but there wasn't any, like, I didn't go out and I wasn't interested in anything new. It was just casually booting up something fun to just play around where the lack of save data didn't make me want to cry. And then the other one was me. I don't think this was when I went to uni. It might have been. I was away. I was away from my parents' house for a little bit. It was either a trip or something. I don't quite remember. But I come back and I go to boot up a game and all my save data's gone. And this is after all the Y-Lod stuff had happened. And I go, oh, that's odd. You know, why is my save data gone? And then I realized that it's not just the save data for that game, it's all of my save data. And it's because my brother decided that I can't even put words into his mouth for what went on here. Something made him want to completely delete my user, but he didn't end up deleting the user from the PlayStation. He just took out all my save data.
Huh.
I don't quite remember the circumstances.
He just wanted you unpersoned.
You know that I'm not feeling too good, Mr. Stark moment? That was my save data. Just Thanos snapped out of existence. And the most infuriating part of that wasn't the fact that he'd done it. It was the fact that whatever justification he had was stupid. I don't quite remember how he tried to sell me on it, but it just went in one ear. It was just like, I don't understand.
I don't care why you did that. Why? Like, I'm asking why did you do this, but I don't actually care why you did this. I'm just questioning what went through your mind and made you think this was a good idea.
A couple other random things that I, for whatever reason, think of. Maybe they occurred around the similar time frame. I became irrationally fearful of birds thanks to playing Alan Wake around that time.
Huh.
Not all birds, but they do. I assume it's a murder of crows because it's poetic, where you'll hear this big caw, and what it always was you would see yourself from the bird's eye view. That's funny. From the point of view of the flock. But there wasn't, it was kind of hard to figure out, okay, if that's what I see of myself, where is the flock coming from? And you had about 2 seconds to figure it out before you got swarmed and killed. And so me hearing a squawk or seeing a large flock of birds, I sort of jokingly say irrationally fearful, but it always just sort of it would make me think about that every time.
Every time you see a bird, you just wonder where the flock is.
Other great ones. Some of my favorite moments were Borderlands 2. I think I brought this up fairly recently on probably a recent episode.
You bring up Borderlands 2 a lot, so you've probably brought it up multiple times.
Probably, but I mean specifically around the context of getting it, which was I played Borderlands 1 and then I saw all the hype for Borderlands 2 and I fell in love with it in terms of everything that was being promoted, all the trailers, all that stuff. And so pre-ordered it, but I couldn't play it because we had mock exams for finals because it was because it was my year 12. And so this was sort of university entrant year and stuff. So didn't want to mess it up, but it meant that because of the subjects I was taking, I did not finish until 4 or 5 days after everyone else that I was playing with finished. And so they all went and selected their characters, and I was left with Zero, who at the time was my least favorite choice, but after playing him, became one of my favorite characters. So
yeah, no,
worked out well.
That's weird to hear because from day one, Zero was my major choice. Like I loved Robot Ninja Assassin.
I don't know. It seemed too kind of brooding and mysterious for brooding and mysterious' sake. Meanwhile, you've got Salvador that...
I was going to go, were you a Salvador person? Because the first Borderlands 2 teaser is him jumping off a dam and giving everyone the finger.
All I'm saying is, I vibed with it.
and I understand the vibes. They were immaculate. Them going, we learnt what color is, really, really hit home.
I'm going to put down the shovel before that hole gets any deeper. But yeah, I'm conscious of the time, and I want to start wrapping things up. But
okay, I got one last question to kind of I don't think it'll be a good wrap up topic, but this is something I'm very interested in.
Fine. So this will be your question, and then I've got a question to wrap things up.
Okay,
so
fair.
I'm not saying we wrap things up now, but I got a question to wrap things up. So what's your question?
Okay. Do you recall what your first I bought this game myself game was? Because I remember what it was for me.
Okay, we need to be more specific here. When I was younger, financially was unable to buy any game myself.
Yeah, so there's I think more difference between, oh hey, here's something I got for my birthday, or I saved up some pocket money. I mean something you bought after like earning your own money and going out and buying something.
Okay. Are we thinking... So, I want to discount Steam from this conversation because chances are I bought a game on Steam and I don't remember which the first one was.
Yeah, that's fair.
It would have been... I assume it would have been the Orange Box or something similar to that on Steam. I don't remember. I don't remember when that was either because, let's be real, buying a digital copy is not a big... It's not like a memorable celebratory thing. What was the first game that I bought with my own money? I can think of games that I definitely bought with my own money, but I can't think of I don't know if they are the first one. But one that springs to mind is Haze for PS3.
Oh man, Haze. Oh, that's such a bad one.
I know. That's why I really... Yeah, that's why I don't remember the order of which ones I bought. I really hope it's not Haze as the first one. But I only remember Haze specifically because... it's an R13 game, and I was a few months into being 13 when I went to EB Games and bought it, and I felt it was like one of those you feel like an adult doing it. I don't know. That's why it sort of sticks out. I remember the EB Games store where it was. I, to be honest, don't remember what it was that sold me on buying it. I read an article that made it look really interesting. And to be fair, the single player was okay, but it's certainly not nothing to write home about.
And what's the other one that might have been contending with that?
The other ones that were contending with that, Mercenaries 2, World on Fire, or whichever. Mercenaries 2, World in Flames, I think. Mercenaries 2. That would have been one, because that was an M game also for PS3. Or, there was one other. Battlefield Bad Company 2.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
I've never
actually,
played that, but I've seen a friend play that, and it looks fantastic.
So, Bad Company 2, that's the only shooter that I've really gotten into. I was never big into COD. Everyone still kicks my ass at COD.
I have a really sour spot with COD, but I can get into that after you finish your story.
Sure. So Bad Company 2, I really liked what they sold the story as in terms of being makes me sound well, they're really jovial about war. That's not what I mean. But like it wasn't an over the top one hero against the world type thing like every COD story seemed to be. Actually, shoot, now that I think of it, Medal of Honor was also in a similar time period. And I'm pretty sure I bought both of those. I don't remember which one came out first. Anyway, actually Bad Company 2 came out first, I'm pretty sure. But I liked the Medal of Honor story. Anyway, I'm tangenting myself. Bad Company 2, that's the only game where I was better than most people I played against as a shooter. And that's the only time it's happened. And if it's the only time that it ever happens, it is what it is. But I was good with all classes. I could fit into any role that the team needed me to do. And it was just on the edge of the physics engines where you could do really dumb stuff. Like the recon class had access to plastic explosives. And so, oh man, I'm getting hit with so many core memories at the moment. So Moist Critical, also known as Charlie on Twitch and YouTube and everything else, his big break on YouTube, one of his really early ones, was doing Battlefield Fun Tactics. And so he would just...
Also, by the way, he's always had that really deep voice. It fucks me up that he's the same age as me. So he was like 13 with that hyper deep voice on YouTube.
Yep. And for a while, a few people thought that I sounded similar, which I didn't and don't hear now. But it was just kind of funny talking about, oh, did you see that video? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that person, they sound like you. Oh, whatever. Anyway, high school stuff. And so he would show off some dumb tactics in Battlefield Fun Tactics, and then I would also come up with my own dumb tactics in Battlefield Fun Tactics. One that comes to mind, a couple come to mind actually. One was while hacking a satellite station. It was like a capture the flag type game mode. As a recon guy, I was hacking it. 2 people run into the room, and then me, being prepared for this eventuality, throws down a stick of plastic explosive, detonates it, kills me, kills the 2 of them, blows up the building, destroys the objective. And so I just got fat stacks of points and went straight to rank 1 in the lobby. Core memory. And 2 was me and a bunch of other people. I don't remember, because this was around the time when I think there were voice comms for squads, but I don't think voice comms were that big. And so we were all recon. One of us got on the UAV, and so when you got on the UAV would spawn on the ground next to you, and the rest of us, all being recon class, just loaded the UAV up with plastic explosives. And so the guy takes off and just suicide flies it into the target. We all detonated at the same time, and there's a little ticker at the top that's just like killed an enemy plus whatever points. And so that ticker was just going on and on for about 20 seconds of just all the things that we did by blowing up that much stuff on the back of a UAV. Oh, that was a fun game. That was a really fun game. What were you going to say?
Yeah, so for me, the my multiplayer game for a shooter was Uncharted 2, actually. I really got into the Uncharted 2 multiplayer. I really don't know why it was that game specifically, but it just kind of clicked for me. Yeah, I got Modern Warfare 1 as a Christmas present at one point, and
Wait. You need to be specific here.
the PS3 Modern Warfare 1.
Okay.
Yeah, me and my brothers got that as a Christmas present from my uncle, and I played a little bit of the single player, and it was fine, but it didn't really gel well with me, and I didn't get really into the multiplayer like other people did. I didn't get into, I didn't start clicking with Call of Duty multiplayer until Black Ops. But Modern Warfare 2, I remember being a really sour spot for me, because one of my friends I'd visit for sleepovers for the weekends, his 360 died at one point. So our console of choice had to be the PS3 that I was bringing over to his place with the multiplayer games I'd bring over. But he also borrowed Modern Warfare 2 off one of his friends, so we could play that as well. And I don't know, just something about I this is being kind of petty, but going over there and playing Modern Warfare 2 didn't jive with me when I'm the one bringing the console and all of the games that I wanted to play were getting ignored because they're like, well, my 360's gone and I really want to play Modern Warfare 2, so I borrowed Modern Warfare 2 so we could play it on your console. And so yeah, that kind of stuck as a sour point for me, and it just kept me off Call of Duty for that extra year until Black Ops came out, and I tried out zombies on that, really got into zombies and got it on my own, played through the single player and played through some multiplayer on my own, and it started jiving with me. Having the RC car on that was really fun. And then just the Tomahawk mode, like where all you've got is a Tomahawk and you got to try and run around and kill people with that as your only weapon was fun. So yeah, it took a little while for Call of Duty to click with me, but that one specific memory is like, oh yeah, Modern Warfare 2 is a sour spot for me. I really don't like that one.
And what game do you think you bought first?
I think it might have been Devil May Cry 4. It was
interesting.
It would have been around 2008-ish. That's when I had my first job. And Devil May Cry 4, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I saw an advertisement for it on MTV, and it was just a specific scene of Nero fighting this snake lady called Echidna, like showing off the cutscenes between him fighting her. And I just thought it was the coolest looking shit ever, so I just jumped into that game straight away, and Devil May Cry has become one of my favorite series just based off that one game.
I don't remember where this would fit. So that's awesome. And I have a magazine of all things. I don't remember where I got it. I was traveling somewhere. It was probably North America. I picked up a magazine as reading material, and it was all about the hype of BioShock, but it also had a bunch of Devil May Cry 4. I hope that timing makes sense, because those are the two things that I remember from it.
Yeah, no, I think they came out around the same time, or they were being advertised around the same time. I also remember seeing a magazine with Devil May Cry 4 in it, and I think it was a PlayStation magazine, because it was harping on about how much of a backstab it was for the Devil May Cry series to go multi-platform after the first 3 games were PS2 exclusives.
Excellent. No, my O exclamation was me completely you saying after your first job, I bought my PlayStation Vita and PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale with money that I earned on a summer job, but I don't remember what year relative to the other games that I bought, because that would
have been late. PlayStation All-Stars came out at the end of the PS3's life. That was like 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And so if one of the games that I definitely bought for myself was Haze, I'm certain that would have to be
Haze was before. Way earlier. That was like a launch PS3 game.
Yeah. Okay. So man, it really sucks to say it. I think Haze was one of the first games I bought.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
If it makes you feel any better, I think Haze was one of the games I bought at some point, but I got it dirt cheap.
Assassin's Creed 1 was also R13, so that's another contender for a game I bought myself. Because I don't know if R13 is a big thing in other places, but R13 here, I feel really mature being old enough to buy an R13 game myself, and so I know that I did that with Assassin's Creed 1 and Haze. So there's a chance that it's redeemed, and I bought Assassin's Creed 1 first, but I can't say for certain.
I don't know if I was the one that got this or my brother did. I know for sure I got the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood special edition myself, and I still got the little chest that came with it. But we also got the Assassin's Creed 2 special edition, and I don't know if I got that or if one of my brothers got that as a present. The PS3 era was full of me getting special editions of games as well. Like, I got the special editions for Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and 3. I got the special editions for Uncharted 2 and 3. Right next to me is the bag from the special edition for Infamous 2.
The bag. Yes. The famous protagonist of the bag.
Yeah, no, you got Cole's bag as one of the things from that collector's edition, and a statue of Cole, which unfortunately is broken. Like, the handle of his amp weapon is broken on that statue.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I also got the special edition for Bayonetta that came with a replica of the gun, but that got snapped in half because the stand it came with was really flimsy, and my cousins banged on the floor a little too hard, and it tipped over and smashed on the cupboard. So, yeah, I have a bad track record of these things that you get with special editions, but I bought a bunch of them during the PS3 era.
Interesting. So my wind-up question, hopefully there's not a huge amount of discussion to be had here, but I count myself really lucky as to all of these little nostalgia hits that we've just smacked for the last 2 hours. Almost dead on 2 hours with the intro. What I'm not sure of is what someone who is somewhere between the ages of like 8 and 15, 8 and 18 or so now, what they would have as their nostalgia hits like us. Fortnite was the obvious
Minecraft.
one. Fortnite, Minecraft, and Roblox were the obvious, the three horsemen of the apocalypse. But I can't help but wonder whether there are any deeper ones, because I would like to say that, what am I trying to say? What I would like to say is that there are games that came out towards the end of high school that I would consider kind of core formative gaming memories, that sort of thing. But the problem is, me experiencing them at the end of high school was also me being at the end of high school's age. So, as an example, I would consider The Last of Us a core formative gaming memory, but I would not consider The Last of Us a core formative gaming memory if I played it when I was 10. Do you know what I mean?
I actually have an answer for this, and you might like this one. So my youngest brother is probably just a little too high for what you'd expect, but I think it's like probably the higher end of what you want for this question, because he's 20 at the moment. I think a core franchise for someone around that age is Little Big Planet. My youngest brother
Fantastic answer.
My youngest brother absolutely loves the Little Big Planet games when he was growing up.
What's really funny is you sounding off all those special editions you have. One of the few special editions I have
Little Big Planet 2
is the Little Big Planet 2 special edition.
Nice.
Yep, with the Sackboy plushie next to me right now.
We didn't get the one with the Sackboy plushie, but we got like a lenticular cover.
What does that mean in regular speak?
Like it's like those fancy covers that like they move, like the picture moves as
when you change the angle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I got that too. Yeah. We probably have the same one. I just got the plushie as well.
Yeah, I think it like that was probably like the highest tier, and we got the middle tier.
Yeah, as soon as they released the trailer for that with Passion Pit Sleepyhead playing, and all of the like, hey, this entire trailer is built around the story mode. All of the story mode is built out of the tools that you have when you play Little Big Planet 2. I was like, I'm in. Gimme. Oh man, and the creativity, like people building fucking Minesweeper and stuff in Little Big Planet. Oh, yeah.
I remember people building.
That's a great answer.
I remember seeing people build the last fight from Final Fantasy VII in Little Big Planet.
Oh, that's so good. It's so I am very happy with that answer actually, and even I might even consider something like PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale to be a memory of someone being at that age, because I could see myself, I did play that just with a bunch of friends every so often. I don't know if it has the staying power of those equivalents of games when I was that age, but like I know there are games out there, but it's really easy for us to look back on and pick like, oh, these ones were good and these ones were good. But I just wonder, because the gaming space has ballooned so much in the last 10, 15 years. And
AAA market is more adult focused right now than when we were kids. It was like the PS2 generation, you have all these mascot platformers. The PS1 generation was also full of them.
Bengus.
Yeah.
and even with that, we also have, this might be a roast into glasses thing. I can't look back on that many games thinking that launched in a rough state. That was a rough game. That game didn't do well. That was a bad game. I can now, and I don't know if that's because there are just more games in the space. The technology enables that sort of strategy much more so now than before, or some other like combination of the two, or some other reason. But I would be interested to know what of these games that are in sort of rough shape. Like I imagine that there are people. Actually, no, I know this. I know this for a fact. I talked to someone at university who was all in on Watch Dogs 1. Everything about Watch Dogs 1 was right up his alley, and he was saying, even if it's a shit game, there's so like what they've shown is so good that this is my one game, basically. I basically only had an interaction with them for like a semester, but I know that is also the case for No Man's Sky. Quite a lot of people with No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky, obviously, we talk about every so often being the thing that turned itself around and it's now really good. And I've been meaning to play it, and I keep saying that, and I will eventually follow through. But yeah, I'm curious to know how many. Like, I saw Little Big Planet 2, as we just talked about. The trailer said, this is what Little Big Planet 2 is going to do. And I said, perfect. That's all I want from a game. This is my one game. And then it came out, and that's exactly what it did. And that was fantastic. And I love Little Big Planet 2, and still do. And it's a shame that I don't have an easy way to play it anymore. And all of the shit with the networking and service and everything means that that's kind of lost to the void now. But I imagine gems like Hades is probably up there as formative memories, because there's not a particular age bracket for that to become more or less appealing. I'm sure there's a million games. We don't have to sit here.
Yeah,
but
there's also just the like we talked at length about Pokemon, and essentially every generation of Pokemon is going to be some child's first Pokemon. Like, you have those essential memories for Gen 3. I have them for Gen 2. I'm sure out there's a kid that's like their formative memories are for Gen 5 or Gen 6 or even Gen 7.
See, even that, like that's super interesting to me, because I even in this conversation talked about how I got shown, say, Sly 2 or Ratchet and Clank 2 or Burnout 3. And it was almost always, this is the second or third game in the series. If you really like this, there are one or two prior games to play, and chances are, because of how good the game is, there will be a third or fourth one coming in the next couple of years. Pokemon is a really interesting one for me, because I don't know what goes through a kid's mind if they, as you say, have these formative memories of maybe Oras was the formative core memory of someone. They loved the Gen 3 remix, and power to them if they do. But I can't help but feel like if that's their formative memory, it almost becomes a chore of someone saying, well, if you like that game, there's 5 generations of Pokemon games before that one for you to enjoy.
Yeah, but I also think as a kid, you probably don't give as much of a shit about going to the older ones. You just go, I like this one, I'll play this one.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think that's coming from the mentality of like seeing things as an adult now and being like, well, I liked this. Maybe I'll like the older ones, and I want to go back and check them out. When maybe a kid,
and then you play Uncharted 1, and you're like, nope, I was mistaken.
I'm putting my whole ass out there. I love Uncharted 1. I know it's the roughest of them, but I still really like that game. And
shit take.
But yeah, I think a kid will just be like, I really like Oraz. Time to move on to the next game that's going to catch my interest.
Yeah.
Where someone like us might be like, well, I got really into this game. Let's go check out the rest of the games in this series.
Is the final ones, just if there's something at the top of your mind, a game that you think everyone else thought was shit, but has a special place in your heart and you really
Sonic Adventure 1.
Okay, fuck, you answered that way too quickly. Oh my God.
You were prepping that question, and in my mind, I'm like, no matter what the fuck the question is, I'm just going to answer Sonic Adventure 1. No, something people say is bad, but in my heart of hearts, I love.
Bad. It's not even that it has to be bad. It's just something that people are surprised that you love because of I don't know, all the blemishes or other things that you really enjoy, regardless of what other people say.
You know what? We didn't talk about them, but it's in both of our lists. The SmackDown versus Raw games.
I did glance over that actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me specifically, I only played one. I only have one SmackDown versus Raw game on there, but I can see it being fairly cookie cutter in terms of the format, and the format is excellent until recently where they fucked it up.
The SmackDown versus Raw games was something that I played with my brothers a shit ton. And
absolutely same. Absolutely same.
We kept up with them yearly releases. Like, we got the first one, and we kept up with them until SmackDown versus Raw 2010, I think. So
see, I'm shocked at that
like
because we had so much fun.
6 years of yearly releases we kept up with.
We had 2000 and shoot, it was either 9, 10, or 11 on PS3. I don't remember which one, but we played that one game enough that we were playing that game for years.
Yeah, no,
it was the same game.
It was because at that time we were wrestling fans. So
wrestling.
So we got the yearly releases for the roster updates and the game change updates, and there's a point where they peaked, and then we started going downhill, and we hit a point where it was downhill enough that we stopped getting them. And also at that point, my brothers were getting out of wrestling. I was on and off it. So, yeah, we just kind of got out while the getting was still decent. And, yeah, the WWE games have just been downhill for a long time. I think the latest one has been getting a lot of rave reviews. I'm not bothered to check it out. I stopped on wrestling games long ago. But when I was in on them, I was in on them. I absolutely loved them.
Remember when there was hype for the wrestling RPG?
There was that one trailer, and you, me, and Josh were really into it, seeing that one trailer, and then we haven't heard anything about it since.
Uh-huh. Anyway, I just thought I'd randomly bring that up again. I think for me, it sounds kind of cop-outy. So SmackDown vs. Raw is also on there, but I also am not like. Maybe it's just the friend group that I hang out with, but someone tells me that one of their favorite games is SmackDown vs. Raw, I'd be like, hell yeah, of course it is. You know, like to me, that's not necessarily an unpopular one.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
A recent SmackDown vs. Raw would be a surprise. I really enjoy Mass Effect 3.
That feels like a cop out, because even coming off Mass Effect 2 and it being a lower point and people complaining about it, Mass Effect 3 still feels like a solid game.
Exactly. Yeah. It still feels cop-outy to stick that on the same tier as well.
Sorry, I need to cut you off.
I just don't enjoy bad games.
Yeah, no, I need to cut you off for a second. I'm seeing your list of games that we could have potentially touched on. The Madagascar game is there. Oh my god, yes. I fucking loved that Madagascar game. And the multiplayer in that was phenomenal. Like, they had all.
Wait, there was what?
Yeah, no, there was a.
I don't remember multiplayer.
There was a multiplayer mode in that game where they had all these different games. But me and my brothers played the shit out of the shuffleboard on that.
Oh my! I don't know what just happened, but in the last 5 seconds, I just you know that like that moment in Lucy, the film, where like 100% of their brains, okay, well, like 100% of their brains unlocked and they suddenly just figured out the universe.
Yeah,
that's me just remembering. Yes, Madagascar had multiplayer. Yes, one of the multiplayer games was shuffleboard. Yes, I played a shit ton of shuffleboard with my brothers.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. So my version of that like event is How I Met Your Mother, when that episode where like, oh hey, whenever someone points out like a thing about one of your friends and you can't stop noticing it, and like every time they say something about someone, like you just hear glass shattering in the other people's heads. I think licensed games in general are like these range from anywhere being from bad to mediocre, but some of them just hit right. And Madagascar was definitely one of them.
Madagascar is one. Yeah, that's such a good thing to end on, actually. Yeah, Madagascar is such a good call. Well played. Any final thoughts? Otherwise, I think we should wrap it up now.
while this has been like a trip down memory lane, I don't want to be all doom and gloom about like the future of video games. There's still a lot of cool stuff coming out. There's still a lot of cool stuff on the PS5 that's come out that I've been really into.
Like Forspoken.
You had to go there. I was going to say Stranger of Paradise, but sure. There's actually things that surprise me, like going back on licensed games, Spider-Man being absolutely phenomenal, and even though Avengers was shit, Square Enix put out that Guardians of the Galaxy game, and that's a really good game. I don't think it holds up well as a game that you can replay, but that first playthrough, it's written really well. It's a lot of fun. Its story is really well done, and the environments are fantastic. It's like they put out a really good game after that Avengers game was so terrible, and it's like, where was the quality check between these two games? What happened? But even outside of licensed stuff, there's still cool stuff. God of War Ragnarok was really cool.
Yeah, me still having not finished that yet.
I was actually so I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was going to fly by you. Hey, what if we did a discussion and a tier list on God of War games?
I'm out. I've played 2018, half of Ragnarok, and one or two PSP games. I haven't played the original 3.
Really? That's actually really surprising and hard to do now, because on the PS3 it was easy because the HD collection was there. The HD collection is stuck on PS3 now, and you can play God of War 3 on PS4 and PS5. So you can only play the last one.
Yeah. No, I just piggyback. So sorry. Any other thoughts, or was that?
No, I'm good. I'm good now.
Yeah, sweet. I just springboarding off of that. Also, don't want this last 2 and a bit hour discussion to sound like we're all doom and gloom about the future, but I do think it's important every so often to kind of appreciate. I talk about these as formative core memories to gaming, but realistically, a lot of these core memories, because of how much of my, I guess, development, personality, interests, everything revolves around, even loosely based on experiences I've had either through or with or around games and the people I've played the games with and the experiences I've had. I definitely am excited for the future, don't get me wrong, but it's just really cool to just every so often flip back and forth over, remember that game? What was it like when you were playing this? Or what sort of things were you interested in back in the day? Because I look at something like Need for Speed Unbound, and yeah, it got rightfully shat on for quite a few of its flaws, but I look at how when I was a lot younger playing Need for Speed Underground 1 and Underground 2, and then seeing the same DNA moving across things like the Burnout series, because that's the Criterion DNA, and then we get Need for Speed Unbound, and then yes, it got dumped on, but I really enjoyed it. But it's hard to know if I really enjoyed it because the game itself was something that I really enjoyed, or because I'm enjoying the game off of the back of all those memories that sort of led me to experiencing the game that is Need for Speed Unbound today. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, obviously this isn't our normal sort of episode for 72, but I think this chat's been really interesting. And certainly, yeah, given a lot of things to kind of reflect on and be appreciative of, which I think has overall been really cool. So feel free to randomly pick out one of the discussion points we had as the audience question for this week. Chances are we'll be back to our more regularly scheduled formatting for next week. But
unless we drown Steven.
Unless, well, the legally
in Minecraft
legally. I was going to say the legal the better legal term for that is if Steven drowned rather than if we drowned Steven. Let's not put the onus on us here. But yeah, if in the meantime you have something you want us to talk about or discuss, feel free to get in touch. We're on Facebook, Fast Travel Lounge, Gmail, fasttravellounge@gmail.com, or Twitter @fasttravellounge -1 of the L's. But yeah, if you have enjoyed what you've listened to, feel free to give us a like or a rating, some sort of feedback on the podcasting platform of your choice, because it really helps us out. But in any case, I've been Patrick. I've been joined by Saif. I had to fight the urge to say and Steve. I always do. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
I've been holding on to the core memory and anger of Final Fantasy Versus 13 for so long, and I still haven't forgiven Square Enix for that.